Hey everybody, here are your check for understanding problems for lesson 3-2. Let's talk them through together. So it says Marcus needs to measure out 2/3 of a liter of solution. He is using a container that holds 1/6 of a liter. How many groups of 1/6 are in 2/3? How many times will Marcus need to fill that container? Now there are a lot of ways that you can do this. You can either draw out your 2/3, break that into 6, and see how many there would be in there. You can also use what we've talked about today, so using the reciprocal inverse and doing division, figuring it out that way, or finding a common denominator. I think using my inverse operation with multiplication is going to be the easiest. That's usually easiest for me, so that's what I'm going to use. So it says Marcus needs 2/3 of a liter, so that's what I'm starting with. That's my amount that I start with, and each container holds 1/6 of a liter. So I'm going to multiply or divide that by 1/6 to figure out how many times it'll go in. But in order to do this, I don't have to use just regular old division. I can use the multiplicative inverse property to say that 2/3 divided by 1/6 is equal to 2/3 times 6/1. And if I work that out, I'm just going to multiply straight across. So 2 times 6 is going to be 12. And 3 times 1 is 3. And if I simplify that out, divide 12 by 3, I get a grand total of 4. So there are 4 groups of 1/6 and 2/3. So that means Marcus needs to fill the container, well, 4 times. There we go. That's all you got to do for this first one. So again, just use that multiplicative inverse. It's going to be the easiest way to do these. You can also go through, do the thing with the common denominators. Maybe we'll look at that at one of these next ones and figure it out that way as well. All right, number 2, it says Roberta bought 9/8 of a pound of raisins. She puts 2/5 pound in bags for her lunch. How many 2/5 pounds can Roberta fill up? How many does she have any left over? If so, how much is that? Well, let's figure this out. So what is the big amount that she is starting with? How much does Roberta start with? That's what you need to figure out first. So I want you to figure that out, and then I want you to figure out, using the multiplicative inverse this time, how could you go about figuring out this problem? I'd like you to set up the equation and go ahead and put that in as your answer. All right, let's check and see how you did. So again, the total amount that we have here is 9/10 of a pound. That's what you should have started with. So you have 9/10 of a pound here. Now, if Roberta has that 9/10 of a pound and she wants to put it into 2/5 pound bags, we're going to divide into groups of 2/5. But again, using multiplicative inverse, which is what I asked you to write down, we're going to take our 9/10 and we're going to, instead of divide, we're going to multiply by the inverse of 2/5. We're going to flip it upside down. So it'll be 5/2. All right, now here's a trick. You can go ahead and cancel some of this out. If you look, you can multiply that out. You would get 45/20. But I'm a lazy kind of guy, and I want to break things down much quicker. So what you can also do is, if you see things that are diagonal from each other, like our 5 and our 10 in this case, I can take those and I can divide them by anything that they have in common, any common multiple. I can actually divide these both by 5. So my 5 would become a 1. My 10 would become a 2. So 9 times 1 is going to be 9, and 2 times 2 is 4. This just lets me go ahead and simplify early, basically. So how many groups of 4 can I take out of 9? I can take 2 whole groups out with 1/4 left over. So my answer here, I'm going to have 2 whole bags. I've got 2 whole bags, and of course, I have then 1/4 of a bag left over. There we go. Pretty easy, right? Perfect. Let's move on to the next one. So for these final ones, you don't have to worry about figuring out any part of a problem. You just got to answer these. So let's do the first one together. I'm going to use, instead of using the multiplicative inverse, I'm going to do the other way that they showed you in this unit. So to divide the fractions again, I can take my 6/10 And I can divide by, you're going to divide it by 2/5, right? But I can also rewrite this with a common denominator. So 6/10 would stay the same, and I can do 5 times 2 would give me 10. So if I multiply my 2 on top here by 2 as well, I would get 4. And again, basically what we do is we then cancel our denominators out. So this becomes 6 divided by 4, or 6/4, which would give me a total of, I can take one group of 4 out. I've got 2 left over, 1 2/4, or that's also equal to 1 1/2. 1 1/2. Oh, there we go. 1 1/2. There we go. That's all you've got to do. If you did it the other way using multiplicative inverse, let's see if it works the same way. We would have 6/10 times, then instead of divided by, and we'll flip 2/5 upside down. We get 5/2. And again, we can cancel out. That become 1, that become 2, and we can divide these both by 2. 3/1. We get 3/2, or also equal to 1 1/2. It works out either way. All right, let's try number 4 together and see how you do this time. You're kind of going to be on your own for number 4. Let's see how you do. All right, I've got 3/8 divided by 1/3. So with this one again, let's just go ahead and use the multiplicative inverse. We'll do this one together. I'll make you do the last two on your own. So we've got 3/8 divided by 1/3. If we use a multiplicative inverse, which I think is the easiest, we would have 3/8. And divided by 1/3 is going to be equal to 3/8 times its multiplicative inverse, which is 3/1. 3 times 3 is 9. 8 times 1 is 8. And if I simplify that out, I get 1 1/8, which is pretty simple, y'all. Gotta hit this button. I got 1 1/8. Well, okay, it's really simple if you're not like Mr. Lambert and don't just mess up all the time. There we go. 1 1/8. That's all you need to do there. See, that multiplicative inverse can be really stinking fast. That's why I like it. All right, you're going to try the next two. You're going to try these guys on your own. So we'll see how we do here. All right, for number 5, it says 5/9 divided by 2/3. Go out and solve it any way you want, and then we'll check the answer together here. Now, you know me. I'm going to use that easy old multiplicative inverse. 5/9. Going to have my 5/9 times, instead of divided by 2/3, I'm going to multiply by 3/2. Multiply by that inverse. 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 8 is 16. 15/16. Can't even simplify that. Guess what? You are done, y'all. That's all you got to do. And again, this one you can't even simplify. So there's nothing you have to do after you get to 15/16. Clear that out. We'll try the last one together. All right, our last one here says divide the two fractions. Again, I don't care if you find a common denominator and then make your fraction, or if you use the multiplicative inverse, just go ahead and see what you come up with. All right, let's see what we got here. Well, Mr. Lambert, what do you want to do? Well, you know what? I'm going to be nice. I'm going to do it for you guys who like the other way here. Let's try it the way of finding a common denominator. So I got 10/1 divided by 2/5. 5 would be a common denominator between 1 and 5. We can make that easy. So to get to 5 with 1, I would just multiply by 5. So I get 50/5 divided by 2/5. Or My 5s cancel out. I would get 50 over 2, or half of 50, which is 25. I could also use my multiplicative inverse. I'd have 10 over 1 times, instead of 2 over 5, we'll use the inverse of 5 over 2. Again, we would get 50 over 2, or 25 is our answer. Both work out the same way every time. So we would have 25 as our answer there. All right, y'all. That is it for today. Good job. Hope you did well on these. Hope you are ready to move on. Go ahead and try your check understanding questions. Let's see how you do, and then we'll rock it on with some independent practice for tonight.